Today, we're going to learn from the two-time Golden Gauntlet champion how to play the deck that won 2 Golden Gauntlets. I am joined by Zapgaze, aka Mani Davudi, the two-time Golden Gauntlet winning champion, two-time with Cerebro. You may know him from the last time we did a video exactly like this about Cerebro, so we're going to add a little bit of spice to it. We're going to try to go to more advanced Cerebro tips. There are going to be some basic things here before, but this is going to be the grinder's guide to mastering Cerebro. It's a consistently powerful deck, and I do think that the first question should be, Mani, you've won 2 Golden Gauntlets with this. Ballpark it for me, you versus the deck. What's the sauce here?
I think the deck is really good for tournament play, but I also do think that there's a lot of pitfalls. So probably like 65% me, 35% deck. Estimating I probably have a few thousand games on Cerebro during the years of playing Snap. And the fact that most decisions just feel sort of near automatic at this point helps a lot in a tournament environment.
When it comes to a tournament specifically, there are a couple of different dynamics. I'm a big believer that for the most part, the decks that are good in Conquest versus Ladder don't necessarily change all that much. But the decks that are good in an open deckless tournament versus Ladder, I think they change fairly dramatically. What's the biggest advantage Cerebro gets in an open decklist context, in the context of it also being a cube management game, which is a big part of what Cerebro is about?
I think definitely full information of being able to create a mapped out vision of what your opponent has is really important, because you don't really get that advantage on ladder. But also, something that's even more important for me is when you play multiple rounds against the same deck and the same person, you get to develop patterns and get a sense of how your opponent thinks, how they're approaching the matchup, what their choices are, and you can also map those out alongside their deck. So for a deck like Cerebro that is a lot of fixed numbers, and then where you're getting your advantage is the variables, where Cosmo goes, where how much power output you need, how much you're maximizing double Cosmo versus I need my Mystique for more power. And those are the types of things that in an open format where you can really have full information of my opponent's maximum power output is approximately this, then you can map out your game plan more coherently that way.
A couple of just baseline questions that I think people are going to ask. Replaceable cards in this deck. What stands out to you as options for replacing some of the cards that people might not have? What of those cards do you view as crucial to your game plan? And I think especially this applies to probably Chameleon, Bastion, and Makari more than anything else.
I think Bastion in any high competitive environment, whether it's top ladder or a tournament you care about, is not really replaceable. It does too much of the things. At its baseline, obviously, is Cerebro, Mystique, just giving yourself access to a second copy. But even being able to win games that involve uh, Gamma Lab, for example, or Monster Island, Bastion is the only card in this build of the deck that enables that. You could, in theory, replace it with a Valkyrie, but it's a significantly powered down version of the deck. And that's not really where you want to be in the current day and age. I think Valkyrie's just been powered out. So Bastion, I would say, is irreplaceable. Chameleon and Makari can both be replaced. You would just replace them with tech cards, and the philosophy of the deck changes, where Chameleon and Makari both do the same thing philosophically, which is more power. They give you more to do. They're not really flexible cards. They're cards that just allow you to go bigger. And if you're not able to go bigger, then you have to change how you play the game. So you go for cards like Armor or Shang-Chi to try to tackle what your opponent's doing and disrupt other ways that they may be trying to play or try to fight you. And in that way, you get your advantage.
Two things I want to note here just for the audience. The first is we're going to go in reverse order. Mobius and Mobius, definitely a card that's also in contention for those slots. The second is he referenced winning Monster Island games with Bastion, and I feel like that's going to confuse people, so I'm going to explain that one. Monster Island, if you play a Luke Cage and you make a Bastion copy of the monster, will give you a 10 power monster that you can then buff with your Cerebro. And so that is the line he's referring to with that. Also, just for the sake of it, Luke Cage, buff or nerf?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. The cost reduction is really good. You had a lot of awkward turns before where you don't really have them now with the reduced cost. You also get to make some cute plays with Bast, for example, after Wakandan Embassy triggers that you wouldn't be able to do previously while playing the Luke Cage, which some games force you to do. But on the other hand, your backline is completely susceptible. So now if you're playing Gase's Scorpion Brand New Day deck, for example, you have to worry about the fact that even if you're going to have buff cards in the front, the negative nerf that they can put onto your other cards in the backline will overpower that. So overall, I would say that it's probably net neutral, but there are definitely games where you feel one side or the other of it. It's hard to definitively call it there.
I think the way I want to approach this is I think a lot of the cards in a Cerebro 3 deck are like pretty obvious choices, but there are certain play lines that I think might not be immediately apparent to a person. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to pick a couple cards to focus on, because I don't think we need to spend a lot of time talking about why we play Nightcrawler. We play Nightcrawler because he's a 1/3 that moves. We play Scarlet Witch because she's a 2/3 that changes locations. We play Sentinel because he's a 2/3 that gives you other copies of a 2/3. We play Cosmo to disrupt things. All of that's pretty straightforward. But what I do want to focus on is, like, let's start, I think, with Bast, and we'll talk about when you're supposed to play Bast. Like, what are the timing things that you think people are going to make mistakes on there? And I think that's probably how we're going to go through the deck, because I don't think we need to necessarily do a card by card where we say, this is what Bast does, this is what Nightcrawler does. I think people are going to be aware of that. So let's try to go a little more advanced on this.
Sure. So when you're starting off with Bast, I think the primary consideration is Bast as a 1/1 isn't really doing anything for you. There are some locations like Lake Hellas that putting Bast into, or Proscenium, will give you a 3 power creature, and that's good. But for the most part, Bast is a 1/1, which means that you're trying to take advantage of its effect. So if your Bast is hitting 0 relevant cards, then you really shouldn't be playing it. The rest of it is just about how you can fit it into your curve. So typically, anywhere from turns 1 through 4, you can combine Bast with something. Turn 5 is usually too late for you to be playing Bast, because on turn 5, you really need to be going 2+3 or 1+ Bastion, and that's when you can fit a Bastion, but normally the buff isn't really applying to anything. But anywhere on turns 1 through 4, it's just about making a judgment call of what you're giving up to play the Bast. And the less you can give up, aka if you can fit it in a turn where otherwise you wouldn't be using that 1 energy, that's the best time to be playing it.
I know I said we weren't going to talk about Scarlet Witch, but there are probably just some things that are important to note about this card. I think the number one is you're very willing to just fire this off on anything remotely detrimental and just play the percentages, right?
Yeah. I think the number one thing I'll say is you have to be willing to play Scarlet Witch even when there's nothing detrimental on the board. Just into specifically, I'm talking about turn 2. Is if you don't have another play on turn 2, because of the nature of Snap and how short games are, you really can't afford to spend a turn doing nothing. So if you have a Scarlet Witch in hand and it's your only form of location change, and you have nothing else to play on turn 2, you have to run it down anyways. Normally, the play there is to just play it in the third lane, the dark, as I like to call it, and just it's a random location regardless, so you haven't put yourself down on anything. Sometimes it's going to hurt you, sometimes it's not, but the key is you've at least put something onto the board.
There are kind of two games that you play when you play this deck. The first is the game where you have Cerebro Bastion, and the second is the game where you're playing Cerebro on turn 6. Is that roughly correct here? Like sometimes you'll be playing Cerebro on 5 into Mystique and Chameleon the Mystique, but I guess that makes it a third type of game. But those are really kind of it.
I think the 3 games that you're playing with this, and Cerebro Bastion is just another version of Cerebro Mystique Chameleon,
Sure.
as you said. The games that you're playing with this deck are the games where you can get 2 Cerebros, the games where you can get 3 Cerebros, and the games where you can't assemble your game plan. Those are the 3 types of games essentially, and everything else is just different permutations and variables of the same idea of whether you're getting 3 Cerebros from Bastion or you're getting it from Chameleon. It's all the same essential goal. So in the games where you can only get 2 Cerebros, the question is 24 power in one lane enough to win you a lane? Is 36 power going to do it where you have to be playing for 3, or do you have to try to get some tech cards? And the games where you haven't assembled your game plan, it's I have a mismatch of tech cards and additional copy effects like Bastion. Can I cobble together a win with these, like the previously talked about Monster Island game, where if you put together the right combination of cards, you can get a win. It's not pretty, but it works.
I played a lot less Mystique than I expected to. And part of that was it's always better to play Chameleon when you can figure that out because he just has base 3. And part of that was just she didn't seem to come up all that much. And part of it was just like, this deck is so good at copying Cerebros with 3 power now that you kind of sit there and look at Mystique and you're like, I don't know if I want to play you if I don't Bast you. And do you have the same feeling where it's like she's good, but she's like the worst of your Cerebro copiers a lot of the time?
I think of Mystique less like a Cerebro copy at this point and more like a tech card, in that Mystique is a second Cosmo. Mystique is a way to play around your opponent's Cosmos. It's a way to split lanes. And the chunk of power that Mystique is giving you is in its flexibility rather than just being a second Cerebro, because between Bastion and Chameleon in my specific build of the deck, you have your second Cerebros covered. What Mystique most of the time is the third Cerebro when you need it to be, and otherwise it's what you need it to be. Sometimes that's a second Luke Cage because you want to be protecting yourself from a Thanos. Sometimes it is a second Cosmo, as I said, because Cosmo in 2 lanes against some decks is just lights out, right? So Mystique is there to be what you need it to be, and less that answer is just Cerebro.
So we talked about what you'd replace this guy with. Largely, this is a points-oriented Cerebro build as opposed to a tech-oriented Cerebro build. How much of an upgrade do you think Chameleon is to this deck, though? Like, just not necessarily between the points and the non-points, but in terms of like, would you even build the deck like this if he wasn't a card?
No, I don't think you can build the deck points oriented without Chameleon. I think that if we think back to the version of Cerebro that I won the World Championship with, Chameleon had not been released at that point. It had just been spoiled and there was some questions about it. And I wasn't sure how it was going to do because I couldn't really imagine building the deck in a non-tech card oriented way. What I will say is Chameleon makes the game easier to play because you get to just think less about cobbling together wins, as I mentioned earlier, and you get to just dump a pile of stats on the board, and more often than not, it's good enough. But the more hostile the metagame becomes towards you, the worse Chameleon gets, because Chameleon is only good if you are executing your game plan. If there are Elias floating around, if there are Cosmos plus X floating around, the more things that people add, the worse Chameleon becomes. Right now, the metagame is in a place where people weren't really thinking about Cerebro. Everybody was really excited about Thanos, which is fair. The card is incredible, but that means a build that is all about just going over the top with Chameleon looks really good.
You said he was uncuttable. Tell me why.
It's just about the full package. It's the idea that if you need to be in an arms race where you need to go over top of people, you can put Cerebro plus Mystique in the same lane, then Bastion it, and have two more cheap Cerebro effects to go with a third card. It's about the fact that any location that gives you a card, whether it is Kvetch or whatever
I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think so either. I'm sure. I think any of the locations that give you a card, Monster Island being.
I'm thinking about it and I'm like, they actually probably would, depending on what era of Marvel they named it, name like an alien planet Kvetch. Like, that does seem like in line with what Marvel would have done in 1972.
Yeah, that sounds right. As soon as something is being generated on the board, Bastion becomes your out, right? It's the way that you go, okay, things have gone wrong. Bastion, usually combined with a Luke Cage, because you need at least two equal sized cards to put up a fight, is your avenue to victory now. So in that way, when I think about the third type of game where I'm trying to cobble something together, 90+% of them have the check boxes of I've hit a Bastion before turn 6. I've gotten a second copy of whatever is messing up my game into my hand, and I'm able to combine that with a Luke Cage to put forward a winning board. And without Bastion, you can't really do that in the same flexible way.
All right. Any final tips for people who are picking this deck up? Any pro tips for trying to play against it other than bring Triton? What's the plan here?
Pro tips playing against it is just to snap more aggressively. I think that as a Cerebro player in a tournament setting, you should essentially more or less be snapping 95% of games after seeing all locations revealed. If there's a Westview in play, all locations revealed is defined as turn 4. If not, it's turn 3. But once that point has happened, you should probably be snapping and forcing your opponent to be making a decision, which means the flip side of that is for the non-Cerebro players, you should essentially always be snapping the game on turns 1 and 2. It feels scary. It feels like you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position, but I think that I have demonstrated exactly how terrifying the other side of it is, where the Cerebro player gets to take full advantage of the information and make informed stays or retreats. And in that way, they're essentially just taking advantage of you leaving free cubes on the table. So that's the big thing, is I just don't think this deck can be successful if you are not snapping properly with it. It is by far, the game is Marvel Snap. Snapping is make or break, and that's infinitely more true in Conquest than it is even on Ladder. Other than that, it's don't be afraid of the retreat button. Just because you're in for 2 cubes does not mean you have to be in for 4 cubes. Locations go wrong. Sometimes you don't draw things, and you have to be ready to roll with the punches and just assume that over the course of a sustained tournament setting, it is going to balance itself out, because the numbers for the deck make sense. The numbers are designed in a way, both with the number of locations that are good versus bad for you in the game, and the number of permutations of your cards that you can draw, they're in your favor. They are going to balance out over time where it is going to be a winning deck. You just have to be willing to retreat when it doesn't work out that way.
All right, last question. This Cerebro variant, does it have teeth?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's horrifying.
Yeah. No, I want everyone on record. I need you in the comments. Let me know. Are you team teeth or are you team no teeth? Make sure
this is like the first iteration of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie when they revealed that Sonic before they fixed it. That's what this variant looks like to me.
Make sure Monty is, I believe, on Twitter at Zapgaze. It's the only known social that I actually have. Make sure you drop a follow over there. We're going to link it in the description. Monty Davuti, Zapgaze, congratulations on doing it again. Do you feel good that I can now call you the two-time and like Dr. Disrespect? Do you feel good to be put in that category?
I was feeling great about it until you brought up the name Dr. Disrespect, and suddenly it just feels gross.
Like worse. It makes it worse. Yes, you got to win another one, and then you could be the three-time and get you out of that purgatory, so to speak.
Yeah, realistically, these tournaments are huge. There's a ton of people in them, and they're really hard to win because you really have no room for errors. So it feels cool to be the first person to take down two of them. I would love to be the back-to-back world champion, but we'll see. That's a few months into the future.
Absolutely. And yeah, I will definitely be rooting for you. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any final words for anyone?
I just want people to enjoy Cerebro. I love this deck. I think that it's not an unfair deck as much as it does seem unfair when it does its thing. I think that it is a pretty fair deck just because of the different inherent ways that it fails and ways to take advantage of it. And I just hope you have fun playing it. Snap is a game. It's meant to be fun.
And with that, we're going to jump into the gameplay. It's going to be me playing with him coaching. So hopefully you learn even more from that.
All right.
Well, that can't be good.
I mean, we'll see how long it takes them to snap us, but we should play to the mid.
Well, I don't want to play the Iceman in mid in case I draw Cerebro.
I don't think that's the relevant consideration here. I think the moment your opponent realizes that they can snap you and you don't know if they have your Cerebro is the moment you have to retreat. So we have to aggressively play to win Asgard so we can get that information.
Kind of a useless Jane Foster, I suppose.
Yeah, that's not going to do much. You do want to get Cage out of your hand, so I like this. It didn't use Ham.
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Mm-hmm.
They really aren't snapping, which is confusing the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's great. We are very okay with that.
It just means they're Thanosing mid.
Okay. So you go Nightcrawler.
I was thinking it would be Nightcrawler, Cerebro, Mystique, Chameleon? Or Nightcrawler, Cerebro, Mystique, Chameleon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't discount their shit or anything, but they are going to be Auroraing for 1 billion.
Right. And we don't have our Cosmo because I assume
we have a bunch of 12s, right?
Yeah. So they moved Thanos to the left lane and Aurora middle.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bother doing the math on this.
Thanos to the left lane, Aurora middle. This is not actually a card. This is an honor reveal. It's +8, so this is 30. It's 35. We
35.
cannot beat.
We
35.
don't have an M'Baku.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you move Nightcrawler, you have 3.
Wait, if I do Nightcrawler, I have
so
36.
36. Yeah.
Okay.
I would do that.
Let's do it.
Yep. It plays. Wait. You beat the middle? Yeah, you probably beat the middle.
Probably beat the mid. I don't know.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Oh, they moved it the other way. Okay, so one of us doesn't know how this works, but I think they only get +6 power on the mid, so I think I win.
Yeah, you win very easily now. Also, Makari was an end of turn, and we did not realize, and they would smash the shit out of us.
We were dead.
We were very dead.
Yeah, right. Makari says end of turn. Also, we only won the middle by 1 point. Look at us.
Yeah. All right. Jay Walla would call a cope stay.
Oh yeah.
All right. This hand is probably a turn 3 snack, but
yeah, it's looking pretty good.
We'll see how things go.
Thanos Sunspot.
What loading a bullet. I've seen some Thanos high Evo decks for some weird reason. There's a world where it's that, but
I think it's very likely we're snapping here. Oh fuck.
Alright, this is Thanos high Evo. Yeah, we're snapping. We're broing the mid lane. They should retreat. Yeah. Okay. They're snapping us back?
Afflict, presumably?
Yeah, I'm just thinking whether we can try to go big or not.
I'm coping this, no question.
No, you're not leading. You're winning this game. It was just a matter of whether we're going to spend a turn going Mystique, Nightcrawler, and then Bastion, a Mystique and Cerebro to hand. It's a good draw. We go Cerebro Chameleon in Pit of Exile this turn.
It's this.
Yeah. I guess Nightcrawler mid lane just because.
Order's horrible here.
Yeah, let's fix that. There you go. Yeah. No, I think that's good. Yeah. And then Bast. No, I think left because M'Baku's going to go right. No, it's not. Whatever. Doesn't matter. M'Baku will go left anyways. You're fine. You're winning. They're not beating a Luke Cage here. That's the type of choice that, like, I go... If you're watching my screen, I just hover the Bast around and take it back and forth like 4 times while thinking through all the possibilities and end up on it. Doesn't matter. Is this for 8 cubes?
Yep.
Nice.
Fascinating. Where's the M'Baku?
They won a grand total of 0 leads.
Can we get some
Great.
mad slops to Bruce?
Marvel Snap Golden Gauntlet World Champion, which I won with Cerebro 3 back in November. I am also the winner of the latest Golden Gauntlet qualifier for the next World Championship, also with Cerebro 3. And also, I am a professional Magic the Gathering commentator.
Bro, are we tempoing a Chameleon here?
Yes, we are.
We just got to get shit out of our hand that would otherwise fuck us, yeah.
Right, we have to get shit out of our hand and we have to win Asgard, is how it works here. Yeah. Probably. Is Bast -1?
Yeah.
Okay, we just keep the Bast in hand then.
That is also acceptable. I am extremely concerned about a Hobgoblin.
Yeah, like they're playing Galactus, right?
Yeah.
I think at this point, we are no longer playing a Cerebro game. So you can play your 4-power Sentinel to the right. And just... We don't reveal the Scarlet Witch.
Could we just call out Hobgoblin or something?
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's a good play.
I'm calling out Hobgoblin, and then if they play the Hobgoblin, I'm just going to pull the Limbo.
Right.
And if they have the non-Hobgoblin, I'm just... Bang!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are there Zola concerns?
You should put Bast in the front row in Talu.
What the hell does this mean?
They're snapping. Probably Zola. So that.
So this and we snap?
Yeah. Wayne scored. Destroyer mid.
We win if they do that.
We win. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Galactus.
Destroyer left. We win.
Or I'm stupid. It's Galactus. Wait, no, it can't be Galactus there. What the fuck am I talking about?
In the lane. Wait.
Oh, yeah, we beat that.
All right. We
Cool 8.
We have 1/8 cubes. They try to contest that lane, so they leave that lane.
I actually think 50-50 after being hit with Wakanda. Like, I think we were super favored there, and we got to being unfavored. I'm staying.
Yeah. I was debating snapping them. So
yeah.
I'm definitely not leaving.
That's crazy work.
Do we snap? I don't think we snap back here with 2 unknown locations, but like there's a very good chance if this doesn't fuck us, which it didn't, I am snapping back here. I'm just going Cerebro left snap.
I'll trust you.
I think sometimes we lose 4 cubes because
sometimes we lose 4 here.
Fucks us, but we're going to have priority because they're going to play some garbage like Domino.
Yeah,
here.
Monster Island incoming.
Yeah, like Wiccan is garbage. That's never beating us.
Not Monster Island, baby.
All right, GG.
Stick Wiccan, brother. Do I even need to Bast here? I guess I can because it's a 3, right? Like I'm fine to do it.
Yeah. Do you need to Bast? No, but you should.
Yeah, it's like it's cool. Possible I'm supposed to hold it till next turn though?
I think you have enough mana that you probably should just hold it and play like Sentinel middle, Nightcrawler left, but I don't think it changes your odds of winning this game by anything more than like a couple of percentage point at most.
Oh look, Drax goes middle. Fascinating. Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's going to be this.
Sure. I don't think you can go very wrong.
Is there any
here.
reason to play Cerebro now in case they Cosmo? Luke over Nightcrawler? No.
No.
Actually, Jane is a real consideration. Is there any reason to do any of this now?
I think you play a Luke in the mid lane. I think that's what we do. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck. It's the apotheosis of the stream. This is it.
But
It's time.
It all comes down to this.
This is it. Does the stream win or lose? This is it.
Okay. So, okay. That's actually really good for us.
Yeah, I'm staying.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Talking about.
He took Trident out. It's not in there.
He doesn't play Trident.
Yeah. Trident's not real. It can't hurt us. Butt's also not real. He can't hurt us.
So true. I'm blowing that up.
Yeah. No, I'm cool with that.
Santa's cracked. Don't we snap back? I have PTSD.
Alright.
Huh.
We Cerebro the right lane.
Yeah, but I think next turn's going to be Mystique M'Baku mid.
Yeah. Murder World's going to go off and we're going to have priority. Is the hilarious part.
Yeah, we actually might.
Power.
That is fucked. We're going to have 6 power. Maybe we don't need to.
Hey, we'll see what happens, but...
Oh, no. He played around having priority. Look at that.
Oh, smart. Alright. Yeah, now we Mystique him back in the mid lane.
Is that a Cosmo? Sure looks like one.
Sure is.
It'll be 12 to 5 and 6 to 0, isn't it? No, 9 to 5. I get Thanos tier. But he just never has it.
Yeah, It's fine.
And I've got a Bastion anyway, so it's fine.
And you have Nightcrawler.
Sorry, the Nightcrawler anyway. That's what.
Yeah. No, it's chill.
This is a W. I still don't know if Butt actually runs Triton or not. That motherfucker cannot move. Oh, yes, it can. That motherfucker can move.
Here's the real thing. Butt never has it, you know?
Has what?
The game. We just play like 6 power to the right.
Nah, I think we're dead.
Really? What if you just stand pat? Just
click
do
and turn,
this.
you're saying?
Yeah. Click and turn.
Holy shit, he actually has Triton.
This motherfucker.
That's insane. He's actually playing the card Triton.